Good morning. How's everybody doing? Luna Wolf, good morning. Welcome in. Good to see you in here. Hope everybody's doing well this morning. Bob, good morning. All right, we're starting to get a few folks to show up in here. I'm waiting on one of my... Thank you, Bob. Good morning. I'm ready to get after it this morning. I'm just kind of skitty. Good morning. Rick, good morning. Todd, hey guys, glad to see Damien. Awesome guys, good to see you showing up this morning. I'm gonna get started here in a bit. I've got a package to open. Once Kenosha Kinku gets in here, so I'm gonna hold off on that until they do. Let me find something to kind of warm up until they show up. I didn't want to open it up before. Let's see what I got over here that I can mess around with. Piece of this Texas stuff. I hope everybody's doing well this morning. Probably not a good idea for me to warm up with this Texas rock and then go to what's in this package, because I believe we've got some obsidian that we're going to work. According to where they said it came from, I did a little bit of research this weekend, and going to try to make a point from the region where the material came from. So it'll be a new one for me. So hopefully it'll go all right. I don't know exactly what I got in there as far as material. I know that it's obsidian of some kind, but I don't know the type or any of that. I just know the region that it came from. So. And I got an idea, approximate size of it, so I was looking for appropriate point styles to make from it. Hey Rob, thank you for the gift, I appreciate it. And the like on the live, thank you guys so much. But if Kenosha Kinku doesn't come in this morning, we'll just work this Texas stuff, and I'm going to work or open that package up when they're in the chat or in the live here. So I'm going to try to keep an eye out. Matter, thank you for sharing the live. I appreciate it, guys. I finished, let's see, where's that one? Now I did a video of the one, but here's I'm getting ready to do the final work on this. This is, my second flute went really kind of short. It was a little bit flat on this side here, and you can see where it kind of bottomed out. But the fracture wanted to keep going. I just didn't, either I didn't have enough force into it or something, but it still turned out a nice piece. So I'll do some finish work on that, and that'll be available here before too long. Bird, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. Well, where's everybody joining me from this morning? Brizzo, good morning. Trying to warm up my hands a little bit here before we Topsail Beach, Louisiana. Awesome. Not Topsail Beach, Louisiana, but Louisiana and Topsail Beach, I should say. All right, well, let's see. I'm not really feeling that one. I tell you what we may do here. Let's see. I got a basket here of stuff that needs to be finished, or it's getting ready to be something else. This is a beautiful blade. I'm gonna get that one finished out here before too long. I need to set that aside. Piece of root beer. Yeah, I think I might work on that. Thank you, Damien. I appreciate it. Yeah, I've got a bunch of preforms and stuff I need to make myself work on, but it's just one of those deals where, you know, when you've got, I don't like to do a lot of that real, you know, the fine finish work on camera, because I either have to concentrate on, you know, what I'm doing, or it's, you know, it's not really that exciting to watch, and then it's hard to keep track of the comments and all the stuff when I'm trying to do that work, and I don't want to ignore you guys while I'm doing it. So, you know, what's the fun in that? But if once Kenosha Kinku gets in here, we'll open up the package and see what I'll show you guys what we're gonna make out of it, or try to anyway. Like I said, be a first time for me on this point style. It's called the Columbia Plateau. So I'll show you that. Like I said, once they get in here and we open the box up, and if they don't make it in today, we'll open it tomorrow. It's a little piece of, looks like root beer of some, I think. Might make a decent little Folsom. Headley, they didn't really. Now there's been some, it's been disproved, and I mean, I really can't believe that they didn't do their research before they tried to put out these papers. But here, 11 years ago, 10, 11, 12 years ago, there was a theory, or that they were, that the first Americans came over on an Atlantic ice sheet, and that because of the similarities that they saw between the Solitarian and the Clovis culture, and they were claiming that the Clovis culture actually was an evolution of the European Solitarian culture, and they put out big papers. I've watched lectures on it and all kinds of stuff, but the thing that they failed to take into consideration is that in the indigenous people here in North America, there is no record of any European blood anywhere in it until after contact. So that pretty much disproves the ability to even have that culture come from. Hey Brizzo, thank you for sharing the live. There was a similarity in the techniques that they were using, but the point styles varied so much. Early European stuff, they had like chisel points. They had points that were flat on the tip and that were mounted in an arrow, and the ends of them were just like a chiseled flake, or a real sharp flake that was tied on the end of the stick, and then they got pointed. But there's Kenosha Kinku. That's who we was waiting on. Good morning. Let me get this hand warmed up a little bit here, because I'm going to open up your package here just a second. I was waiting on you to get here. Yeah, there's not a lot of similar forms from the same time period, other than the fact that, eventually they all were more of a, they're pointy. They're not chisel shaped, the later ones in Europe, but within reason. But they don't have a lot of them that you would say, okay, yeah, so they did this, and over here they look like this. So, in fact, fluting, or the process of fluting points, such as like the Clovis and all the variants of that, and then the Folsom, you've got Cumberlands, you've got all those fluted points, and fluting is absolutely an innovation or an invention of North America. It didn't come from anywhere else. Nowhere else in the world did they flute points, or have they fluted points. Now they think it could have come, from a blade cord type technology, but nowhere else do they flute points like they did in North America. All right. Hands aren't feeling too bad today. So we'll work on this at another time now that Kenosha's in here. Hey, good morning, Blake. All right, guys. We've got a package here from Kenosha Kinku. And the only information I got on this is that it's obsidian, and it's from Fort Hood, Oregon. So we're going to open it up and see what we can make of this. I've got a point style that I've looked up that is from that region, so that's what we're going to make today. Whoop. All right, let's see. Oh yeah. Right on. Well, that is just a few little flakes that came off here. Yeah, I just want to make sure there wasn't anything that was gonna get that in my trash there. All right. There we go. That is some, I was looking for any seams or any cracks in it. That is a pretty piece of material right there. I always want to make sure on this stuff because it's, like I said, I'm a little bit, hey Terry, good morning. I'm a little bit, you know, hesitant. I'm gonna say hesitant. I just want to make sure that I don't hit it and have it come apart in my hand, and this stuff will slice you pretty good. See right here, you can see like an impact right here, and then this crack is radiating from that. So just like any other piece of material, you're gonna make sure that you work around any seams or cracks. Plus, I want to see if I can get as much out of it as I can, because there's let me show you the point style that we're looking at for some of the first flakes. Is looking at this style right here. I lost my monitor there. Hopefully it'll kick back on. It did. All right. This right here is what we're, yeah, it's extra sharp. The crystals, I saw a little, look like some type of a pocket in there, but I think the crystals that you're seeing on the rock, I think those are just spots where it's been impacted. And you're seeing because once you get it, once you're into this, I don't think it's going to have any kind of inclusions whatsoever. It's super clean material. I think all this on the outside is just where it's been impacted and hit other stuff. The underside. Yeah, I'm not, like I said, most of what I'm seeing here, let me set this book down. But anyway, we're going to make something in this category right here, and these are actual size, so that way I can make some, you know, smaller points with some of the material, and then try to biface it down to a bigger piece. That's the goal anyway. And like I said, I don't work a lot of obsidian, so we're gonna see if we can't come up with something here. But yeah, I think this stuff right here that you're seeing, that's just where it's been impacted. That's what the looks of that is. Remember where my seam was here. All right. I think with this, I'm gonna go with a soft, fairly good sized hammerstone to get into it. Oh, absolutely. All of us combined. And that's why, like I said, I try to make sure that I'm, you know, as respectful with the material as I can, guys. I sure appreciate when you guys send me stuff, and try to make as you know, much out of it as I possibly can. Tell you what I am going to do though. These first few flakes, I'm trying to drive off little spalls, and I'm going to kind of hold it with this just to protect my hand. Because each of these shards coming off here are sharper than anything that we can make. I mean, you guys don't have any idea if you've never worked with this stuff. The incredible sharpness of it. It's just, it's insane. I've got like a string right here. Let me see if I can just put a little pressure on it. I don't know if you can even see, but there's not even I mean, it's, there's no pressure on it whatsoever. You just have to get a dig into it. So I think this piece will actually make a nice little biface. We're gonna, I don't like wearing gloves for the most part, Kenosha, because I lose feeling of the piece. Now on some of these earlier spalls, I'll probably cradle it in some leather just to kind of give me a little bit of extra protection, because they're not as much of a feel strike. Thank you very much, Silencer. Yeah, like I said, I'm pretty cautious with this stuff, because it is crazy how fast it'll cut you. But it works very similar to working stone. It's just the fineness and the see, look right there. Well, it's just driving that flake off, and it just, oh, way sharper than a razor. Each one of these flakes, as I take it off here, the edge of it is the sharpest edge. It can be like 1 molecule thick. That's the the possibility on that. When that flake comes off clean, you're looking at the possibility of something being 1 molecule thick. Yeah. Yep, that is exactly right, Kenosha. So I mean, you know, you think about how tiny that is and how thin. So what we're doing here is the same thing I always do. You've noticed that we've got a thicker end here. This end is fairly uniform. Yep, it is volcanic glass. But I just wanted to kind of take a little spall off here and then get used to working with it a little bit before I start doing anything too aggressive. I'm just trying to take some of this mass off the end, but you can see just how beautiful those flake scars already. It's really going to show up nice. This is super, super beautiful. It's just, I mean, it's almost, it looks like faceted jewelry the way that it reflects the light. So there's some of that original cone right there. You can see it's kind of split right here on the end, so I'll work around that a little bit. See, in each of these flakes, these little, I mean, they're just absolute, they're so sharp. And it takes so little effort to take those off. Oh yeah, it wants to be napped. This stuff, you know, it likes being shaped by stone and antler tools on this stuff. In my opinion, I've worked it with copper back years ago when I used to use copper tools. And I will tell you that I prefer antler and stone on this than I do modern tools. Yeah, oh, I used to nap barefoot. And like I said, when I started having to wear the circulate, you know, like the compression socks and stuff, I've got circulatory issues and had to start wearing shoes or wear out the bottom of my really expensive socks. So, but I used to nap barefoot. See, now I took that flake off there to kind of bevel this end. Now you can see we've got a little bit of a spot to start in, taking this mass off, and then we're going to come back and take off. This right here is known as the bulb of percussion, and you can kind of see how this is where it was struck this way, and this is that bulb, and then the flake trailed out this way, and you can actually see the ripples and the way that that went out. We're just about, there's like a little skinny low spot right here. And anytime you're working with material that's thinner in the middle, right on, Terry, thank you. I will look into that. I appreciate the tip. Yeah, I've had, years ago, I had what's the vein stripping in my left, well, both legs, but my left leg all the way from my groin all the way to my ankle. They did what they call the vein stripping. And basically it's like a rotor-rooter. They go down the vein system in your leg. They went in at my groin area, and it goes down your vein, and then it gets down to where they're going to pull it out, and it's got these little deals that come out like this, and they basically grab a hold of your vein and strip them out because of like varicose veins, and for fear of blood clots and that kind of stuff. So, but I will definitely give the beetroot a try. Yeah, this is going to work out nice, I hope. This is... Oh, awesome. Well, it was like a rotor-rooter. I mean, that's exactly what it was. Oh, no worries, guys. There's no topic on here. We're just hanging out, and you're going to hopefully watch me not cut myself today. Clayton, sounds like what your ex did to your bank account, huh? That's funny. I mean, it's not funny, but it's funny. Yeah, I had a similar experience with my ex, so I couldn't buy a stick of gum on credit by the time that whole deal was done, so... But that's what Jenny, my wife, and I have been rebuilding our credit for the last, oh my gosh, been a while. Oh yeah, Clayton, that's about all you can do, man. I mean, that's, it's just those happenings in life, Yeah, my wife and I both, we both were in kind of rough situations, and our credit got destroyed, so we've spent the last several years rebuilding everything, and we're finally back to where we're building a house this year on our property. This old house that we live in now will be demoed, and we'll have our new house at the back of our property. So really looking forward to that. But yeah, you got to laugh about it, because I mean, crying about it doesn't do any good, that's for sure. See, look how beautiful, guys, those 2 or 3 flakes coming off there, that scar, how it shows up in this. Kenosha, this is, yeah, it's getting better for us too, and I'm glad to hear that it's going good for you. Hey, Silencer, thanks. You have a good day too, man. Be careful. Well, I hope you guys don't mind that I am kind of working this a little bit slow to get started. I just want to get it. You can see this little. Well, thank you very much, Kenosha. I appreciate it. You see this little kind of dip right here in the center. That's what I'm going to try to work this part off to flatten that out, but you don't ever want it to be narrower or thinner in the center than you are on the ends. So just slowly, it's another reason I'm working it really easily. You don't want to try to over force it and put too much in there, because that vibration's got to go somewhere. And see, it doesn't take much force whatsoever. I mean, these are just, you could probably, yeah, you could easily see through those, but that is just some insanely sharp stuff. Yeah, well, a lot of it is too, Kenosha. I'm not hitting it near as hard. I mean, it does not take near the force. That's why I said it was probably not good for me to warm up with Texas material before I started hitting on this, because that's another reason why I'm going slow, is you really have to kind of get yourself in the mindset of working this material, because it takes so little force to do the same things that I could do with stone, that if you hit it as hard as you hit the stone, it would just come apart. It's not going to work for you very well. It's more just about, I'm starting to get it to shape up. We'll just keep working into this this little bend there. No, I don't think so, Don. And welcome in. I didn't see you. Yeah, I've got an idea where I'm headed with it. I'll show you guys a picture again. What I'm looking at. Now this piece here is going to make on the larger size of these, but the research that I did on these. That one is that's one of the larger sizes. Now this piece here, by the time we get down to the thinness in the center, I'm going to lose quite a bit, but not quite that. It'll be a little bit bigger than that piece, but that's the basic feel of it. It's a triangle with basal notches. That's what we're going for, and it's a Columbia Plateau, and I think, depending on how these flakes come off here, I should be able to make several. That's kind of what I was thinking, is I'd like to make not really necessarily a set of them, but make as many of them out of there as I can. Yeah, I saw that you were making those boppers. Morning, Blake. You see, we haven't hardly worked on this end at all because it was already fairly thin. Let's see how. And that was just the first flake off there that came off right there. So we're going to work this one down to a biface, and then I'll take another flake off there. I just wanted to kind of get accustomed to the material a little bit before I started. Whoop. Boy, that right there. Whew. Had that biface in my hand, and I went to move something, knocked my rock off here that was holding my pages open in my book, and went to reach for it and grabbed, and I could feel that edge poke into me. Oh yeah, Ken Koo. There's I'll be able to make several as long as I get past this little low spot right here. I'm really concerned that it'll break there, so I'm gonna kind of play this really easy here. And you're going to see, I don't even hardly have to just almost breathe on this for these flakes. I mean, it is not going to take a lot of effort with this setup at all. That's what I say, you really, all right on. Well, that's why I'm taking my time with it. You go into this and just start bashing. That's why I think a lot of newer nappers have difficulty with obsidian, is because they hit it too hard. I mean, I am just, you see what I'm getting off there with well, the stones. Oh yeah, that's. I tell you what, if you find any of that Uperlite or something, we'll have to come up with some kind of, because I think that stuff is so cool. And you see how I'm taking that. There's like that little hump down here, and I set up and took one off either side of that, and now I'm going to try to take a flake right down the middle. It's almost like a flute setup, but I'm not trying to drive the flake up the deal. I'm just trying to thin out that little knob off there. And be careful that I don't drive one of these into my fingers. Awesome, awesome. And I'm gonna set this to the side. I am gonna end up cutting myself reaching for that every time it goes to slide off my leg, and I don't wanna, that'd be real great, you know, slash myself up right here live. So ain't nobody got time for that, right? One little spot there that is kind of crushed up a little bit. We will oh yeah, there. Well, you know, I told you, Kenosha, when I'm working on stuff like this, I typically do research of the region and all, and they were talking about the trade network for the indigenous people in that area, and how well, all over what they call the Obsidian Rim, that there were trade networks, and they were finding this material from certain areas up to 200 miles away. So it was just evidence that they were trading. It was, you know, it was a material that was sought after enough and appreciated enough for how sharp that they had an extensive trade network set up. Now guys, if you see what I'm doing right here, well, to a certain extent, Kenosha, I think, you know, I don't know how far across. Now I know, you know, like it's, one of the ones that impresses me is Chaco Canyon, and the similarities of that culture and the cultures down, you know, where the chocolate was actually coming from, you know. But that Chaco Canyon where they found those. I watch a guy, his name is Andy Ward, and I don't know if any of you guys are into primitive pottery. I'm into all things primitive. I absolutely just eat it up. And he remade it's like a Chaco Canyon cylindrical pot, and they had done research on those and were able to do testing around the rims and on the inside of those, and these were all what appeared to be ceremoniously broken. They were found in one particular spot, and they were just broken. But they found remnants of chocolate, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was either 12 or 1,700 miles, something like that, from where those were found in Chaco Canyon until where the chocolate was actually coming from. So, you know, they had the ability they trade to trade. Well, eventually, you know, you can look at archaeological stuff, and you can the farther away you get from a source, the smaller the artifacts of that source get. So obviously, if you live right on top of the rock pile, you're making big blades out of it because you've got it everywhere. But the farther away you get, the smaller the artifacts, until you get to a point where, you know, you're working tiny little flakes into little arrow points, you know, the farthest you get away from a source. And but if you've got, you know, a resource that is beneficial to people that live a lifestyle like you do, then if I trade to you and I get, oh yeah, well, if I went and I traded for, you know, 100 bifaces or 50 bifaces of this stuff, and then I could take it back to where I'm at, and then I can trade that to somebody who lives farther over than that, you know, it did get traded out, and there were a lot of instances where that was happening. But for the most part, unless the area was just super poor of material, they just they would use, you know, like for instance, you don't see a lot of once you get over into on the East Coast, there's just a lot of really tough material. So they altered the way that the points they were making to utilize the material. So, you know, I mean, if you have access to a material and you know how to make points out of it, then you're not going to trade your resources for material to make more points out of if you've got access to it yourself. You know what I mean? Well, I mean, I just flicked that one off, and that flake went all the way over the top of that ridge and split out right there. That's just how nicely this stuff flakes. I mean, it's just not it's not near as hard on my hands, for sure. I just got to keep from getting cut. Well, I'm just slowly working off this heavy spot up here on the front, and I knew that I would lose a little bit of size from it, but we're getting closer. Once I get it tapered into that low spot right there, then I'll start working this side of it off, but I want to leave that there to give it a little extra mass until I get this tip thinned out. And I've already, you know, decided that that's going to be my tip because I've got more thickness up here to remove than I do back here. This should be a lot easier as far as getting it lenticular, because I've got basically a square edge on here on this side. But I don't want to work or weaken any of this until I get this the mass up here off there. Until you get it more uniform, if you weaken it in other areas, then you're taking the chance that it's going to break there because you're having to put more force. And I'll be able to show you guys something really cool. And I think Blake's still in here. This is something that we've been actually talking about. So it'll make a little bit of sense, hopefully, to him. Now, see, we're getting closer on that one there. Now we've got this area here. Yep, it is, Rick, and I'll tell you what, Kenosha, I mean, you could do what you want to, but that guy is covered up in some rock now, living right in the middle of paleo paradise when it comes to material for sure. Ooh, got those little shards, I can feel them. Look how my hand's kind of glittering right there. You can see there's just little shards everywhere in that. You got to be super careful. I want to make sure I don't put my hands over my coffee today. I'm not worried about it getting in there other than if I let some fall off of my hand. But I am going to move my cup, I believe. This stuff is so fine and sharp that it is. It's super scary. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna something a little bit more abrasive now. Now that I've kind of got this side, you can see how we've got a little bit of a taper started here, and I've got that mass that I'm leaving there until I, bring all this in. But what we're going to try to do now is push some flakes off this edge here and try to run them over into this area. I didn't, Clayton. I wish I did, but no, I did not. That is a set. Well, I bought this at a thrift store years ago, and Don, who's in here, he asked me, he said, "Where's that from?" And I had never really even paid attention. I just, looked at it at the bottom of it and found the company, and then did a search, or Don looked at it and told me where it was, that showed me a piece that was available somewhere. So I started searching and I found well, I'm sure this is a creamer, but I use it as a little carafe. It's about the same size as my coffee mug. Looks like it's still got somebody's inked a price on there at some point. I just saw that in the light. Yeah, it says something on 30 or 3 or something like that on there, but anyway, I found that I think on Etsy, and ordered the matching, what I call my carafe. All right, we're going to see if we can flatten this out a little bit. All right, we accomplished some of that off that side. Now you can see we've just got a little bit more here and then lining it up. So oh, it'll always bite me. I guarantee you this stuff. I felt one of them go up underneath my thumb. That's why I brushed that off there, but that's why I caution you guys, you got to be super, super careful working glass or volcanic glass, because it will cut you real quick. All right, I'll show you where we're at now. See how that took a lot of that off, but we still got just a little bit of the tanning of the leather. Are you talking about on my deal? That's just from repeated. You can see how this was my old pad here that's about worn through. This one's getting thin right there. All right, let's see. We're going to set up and do one more series that way. And then we'll be pretty close to everything fairly uniform on this end. And then I'm going to show you something that'll help you when you're working square edges, especially if you're pressure flaking, but it'll help you no matter what tool you're using. Let's see, there it is. Got a little closer on that round. So, well, all right on. Kenosha, yeah, I'll absolutely do that. I absolutely will. Thank you very much. All right, we're gonna turn this just a little bit. We're just about got this in under control. You can see how it's closer. We've got just a little bit of mass right in here, but I'm gonna work back this way just a little. Because like I said, I knew we were gonna lose a lot of size initially to get the profiles and stuff that I want for this point style, so. But it's just like any point that you work off any piece of rock. You know, you start with the stuff that, you know, like I needed to thin that tip down before I tried any kind of other stuff, because putting that vibration in that rock and having a weak spot. See, now we went from that center being the thinnest spot to now it's almost the thickest spot on the whole piece. We still got this square edge over here, and we're going to address that in just a second. Well, thank you, Damien. Well, I mean, once you get the hang of the concept of flint knapping, everything is the same. You know, it's just a matter of you change the tool and the amount of force, the size of the tool and the amount of force, or the way that you're applying the force, and all the other physical characteristics work the same. You know, it breaks with the same angle. It's, you know, all of that stuff. It's just a matter of getting an understanding of the. Hey, good morning, sweetie. Jenny has come in to say hello. For those of you that might not know, that's my wife. So you should probably, you know. Yeah, you missed it, sweetie. Right on, that's what I'll do, Kenosha. I was using that as a guide. Like I said, I don't work much obsidian, so I wanted to do something that was proper for the type. See those two flakes, look, they just went right over the top of that. How nice. Now this one I'm going to push a little bit harder. You can see that it's got like a little bit of a hump right there, and then there's this little kind of a step spot. So I'm going to kind of beef that up a little bit and put a bunch of dust on it. There's a little bit of a rise there. I'm just going to try to smooth it down. And I'm going to apply force right here and try to push it towards this area of mass. It may get underneath that, it may not, but we're gonna, yeah, it went right up to it. No, there it went. So that you can see where that flake went. It kind of stopped right there, and then it went ahead on across. And now we've got a ridge next to it. And that one went all the way over to here. Oh, absolutely my better half. Well, right on. Yeah, none of this would be possible without her, I guarantee you. She has been, well, everything to me. So all right, you can see that series of flakes that went across there building into that edge. And now we've got this sharp, or this square edge on this side. I've got a little bit back here on the base, so I'm gonna shape this up. And then we'll get into that square edge, and I'll show you what I was talking about a while ago. A bit of a kind of a weird spot there. Well, it's kind of a little like a cracked double edge, or Abandoned Adventures. It can be, but then again, you can make it as simple as, you know, if you know anybody that's got some deer antler, and you can go pick up a sandstone rock. I mean, that's all I'm using. Now, this was gifted material, but if you live in an area where you can go find material, you know, rock in your area, it literally can be basically, you know, free except for your time. So it can't, but at the same time, I've seen, you know, there's guys that do what's called fog napping, where they will actually grind the point to convexity, then go back over and flake that. And yeah, you did give me something sharp for sure, Kenosha. But she knows I've been. Connor, thank you for the follow. She's put up with me now going on, well, this will be 11 years next year. So 10 years we've been together. All right, I wanted to get that little corner off there. It's kind of a wonky little spot. This end is breaking kind of weird. It's got some kind of a, there we go. Ah, that's why. There was a little double double fracture there where the fracture, it looks like it, when I struck the flake off, it kind of did something funky there at the end. Are you're a flint napper? Right on, Kenosha. Congratulations. So Connor, you're a flint napper? Yeah, that's all I've used so far, Abandoned Adventures. I struck a flake off of a main core with a large sandstone hammerstone, and then I've just used antler tools. Now, I mean, at the very basics, that's all you really need to get started. Now, you know, like I said, if you want to make it more expensive, there's modern tools you can buy. You can work slab material when you start out. Let me get some of those off there before I reach for my coffee. Yeah, and I say the same thing, Kenosha. I would suggest that anybody starting off, you know, I know that they push the obsidian and the slat now, unless you're working like slabs or smaller material. I don't suggest starting off with big chunks of obsidian and trying to learn how to. Hey Todd, all right, man, I appreciate you coming in. Now this one should be up on the. I think we've got up to the end of February is uploaded, but we've got everything else up. It's just waiting to upload on YouTube. So this one will, you know, be available here in a few days, hopefully. And Rick, I wanted to. Oh, I got to do the puzzle piece here, guys. Hold on just a second. There, making sure I'm not sleeping on the job. Well, I wouldn't. I mean, gemstones, you know, or gems. I wouldn't start with. You can work opal. It's a nappable stone. Not all gemstones are nappable, so. I would suggest, depending on where you live, I mean, there's nothing wrong with working obsidian, don't get me wrong. I wouldn't start off trying to spall off big pieces. Sorry, I was lighting a. Yeah, it's super sharp stuff. All of this stuff is. But when you start off with trying to knock off the big spalls or the big pieces like I started with on this, all right, let me show you here. When you've got a big piece like this is where this piece came from, was right out of that notch right there. And the edges of that blade, when that came off there, is the sharpest substance that we know of. Man cannot make anything sharper than the edge of that stone or that glass. This is a volcanic, naturally occurring volcanic glass. We cannot create anything that is sharper than this. They actually, I don't know if they still do, but I know at one point they used flakes of this for optical surgery because it was so sharp and so precise that we couldn't make anything surgically, you know, like surgical steel that was sharper. So I would caution you, because when you're taking off these big flakes and you're trying to drive this flake off there, unless you've got a little bit of experience of how that's coming off there, you're taking a chance of, I mean, I've seen some horrendous injuries with that material is all I'm saying, guys. And I would hate for somebody to injure themselves, you know, trying to do something they've seen me or anybody else do. Yep. Well, be careful, you know, abandoned adventures. That, I mean, it, like I said, if you're pressure flaking, I don't think it is as dangerous because, you know, you're not driving those flakes. You're still probably going to get cut. TV glass will work, abandoned adventures. I actually just did if you'll check out my profile, I've got some pictures of TV glass. We did a series here about a month ago called Trash Napping. And we were doing beer bottle bottoms, TV glass, toilet tank porcelain, all kinds of stuff. All right. Now you see this square edge here, guys. And I've taken off this little flake right here at the back. Blake, are you still in here? Connor, thank you for liking the live. I appreciate it. Now, when you've got a square edge like this is, you see where that first platform for that is right there. Now, I'm not pushing straight down, guys. When I'm zigzagging these, the tip of this tool is sitting on that edge, and I'm putting force as if that's this straight edge. I'm trying to highlight it so you can see it. You see the edge of that platform, that straight line right there? What I'm going to do is I'm going to set the tool on that edge, and I'm going to try to press in a force that's perpendicular to that edge. So, not a big flake, just a flake just like that. And what you'll see is now I've got a zigzag, or I've got another, that flake just came off of right here, and now I'm going to use this edge and do the same thing. And I usually just, you know, on this stuff, you can just brush the edge. I'm not really grinding it. I'm just putting a little dust on there so my tool can get a good bite on it. I put that up against there, and I'm not pushing straight down. I'm kind of pushing forward on this one in line with that. I'll put the tip of my tool right here, and I'm pushing this way. Not straight down, but forward to kind of throw that next flake and thin that. Well, right on, Kenosha. Yeah, that's what I love about. I mean, I'm gonna be able to make a lot of points out of this if it continues to work out like this. All these little spalls. Abandoned adventures, you don't want a super sharp tip, but it's proportionate to the size of the edge that you're working. If you're working super fine edges, you might want something that's a little bit more sharp, but the antler will actually wear down into a rounder edge eventually anyway. And it's not about the pointiness of it, it's just about the way that it's grabbing that edge. So again, I'm going to put that right there, and I'm going to push kind of down and this way, forward. And see how that flake went here. And now I've got another platform. And what I'm doing is I use the edge of each one of those flakes where they came off for the place that I put the tool the next time. You will cut yourself, and this is absolute. That's one thing that I will caution you on, abandoned adventures. When you're working this edge, especially on glass, obsidian, that kind of stuff, but stone will do it too. Dull those edges as you work along, because I've seen people slip in with that knuckle and just gash it, and I've cut myself doing that too. Well, abandoned adventures, I've got it should be up. I don't know if it's up on YouTube or not, but we did a beer bottle bottom Dalton out of like a 40-ounce beer bottle bottom, and I think it might be up on my YouTube channel. And I think if you go up here, there's a link to the YouTube channel, but if not, then it's the same name. It's New Age Neanderthal. So, but anyway, guys, so I'm going to go from that last one there, and then I'm going to down and in. You see how that flake, you can see the shiny ones. That's where the fresh ones are coming off. So I don't always put that dust on like with stone, but this glass is so slick that little bit of dust actually helps it grab a hold of the edge. Yes, on YouTube, Abandoned Adventures. I've got we've got, I don't know, 70 something videos of a lot of my lives and stuff where we've worked stuff. But I think we got the one with the beer bottle bottom. And Xander, thank you, I appreciate it. And like I said, guys, if you missed part of the live, or you want to go back and watch some of the old ones for whatever reason, most of them, I think from the early part of February on, we're in the process of getting all of those on YouTube. So, and Rick, if you're still in here, I wanted to thank you, or tell you to thank your wife for the needle from buffalo rib is cool. Oh, have you seen those on there? Now I've got this is my Abandoned Adventures. This is my sewing kit right here. I've got some natural cordage. Let me find my... This is a buffalo rib needle right there that I made with stone tools. That's that bone needle that you see me making on there. That was made from scraping either side of that through. This cordage is just a natural fiber cord, like a hemp cordage, but this is sinew for right here. Just depends on what I'm stitching up, depending on what I'm going to use it for. Anything that's going to see any kind of wet weather use, I don't use sinew or rawhide. It would just be leather or vegetable fibers, because they're not as susceptible to issues with the humidity or wetness. So, but yeah, all this stuff, like I said, guys, if unless it's otherwise stated, I made it with Stone Age tools. And most of it I've got on video, so, for all the haters out there, that's one of the things I've told you guys I like about this format is that, and I want you to remember when you're watching people flint knap, most of the time when you see a video on YouTube or you see a video someplace, most of the time you're just seeing, awesome, Kenosha. Yeah, most of the time when you see a video on YouTube or posted somewhere, you're seeing somebody's win. You're seeing it when it all worked out well. It doesn't always work out well. The guys that have watched me, on a regular basis, I break stuff. I have stuff go wrong. It's just part of it. And I've been doing this for, this year it'll be 30 years. So you just try to look at every situation of what you can learn out of that situation. And to me, I don't use the term, it wasn't a failure, it was a learning opportunity. If something doesn't go the way you want it, I use, well, heck, I think I've got one in here, that it's in here for a reason. I'm going to use Yeah, this one. This was a beautiful calf creek that I had going. One of the ears busted off of it. That's truthfully, Kenosha. I mean, the only difference between being able to do this and not is the time in the seat busting rock. It's a learned skill, and it just takes time, you know, and practice. So now, guys, you can see this. See how that we get this zigzag kind of sinewy edge right here? Yeah, Rick, and that's what I'm saying. And I will tell you, dude, if you're using copper, it'll work, but make sure you got dust on that edge. But antler, in my opinion, for glass is actually superior to copper because of the way it grabs the edge. It does a better job. You know, copper will work, but it doesn't. Well, Abandoned Adventures, where do you live at? That could make a big difference because I might be able to point you. Well, Rick, with obsidian or glass in New York, yeah, that's kind of a tough area up in there. And I'm not familiar with it, but I mean, geographically or geologically, I should say. But I know that once you get to the East Coast, it becomes harder to get material. Besides like the rhyolites and the basalts and stuff like that, which are just I would not suggest learning with those. Those are big boy rock, and I don't like working that stuff. It is hard on you. Well, you might be closer to where you might be able to get. I tell you what, if you'll send me a message real quick just to remind me, when I get done with here, I'll look up some rock resources. I've got an app. Well, I'll tell you this one. Well, I don't know what you didn't hear the first part. I'm sorry. Like I said, I'm hard to keep up with this. That's why I was saying send me a message. But there's an application, an app for your phone that's called Rocked, and it's ROCK''D. And if you download that, it will show you formations in the area that you live in so that you might not, have to go buy rock. You might have places where you can publicly access it. And it's an app. It's Rocked, ROCKD. And if you look that up, and anybody watching it, I'm telling you, that's a good application for showing you geologic formations and outcrop, that kind of stuff. So, but Rick, yes, ROCKD. And if you download that, East Mississippi Headhunters, Bubba in the house. How you doing? Todd Patterson, you're welcome. Yeah, I've used that in my local area to help me find rocks, so, and formations. So it's definitely a resource that will work for you. But before I forget again, Rick, I want you to thank your wife for the nice reviews she left on my Etsy shop. I really appreciate it. That helps out a lot, and I appreciate it. But yeah, as you're working a square edge, guys, you see we've got just a little bit of that square edge right here left. And what I'm doing is on this one now, I'm going to use that. You see that line right there. Let me see if I can get it in right here. Okay. Now instead of trying to push down on that, I'm going to tilt, I'm going to apply force this way, not straight down, this way. And what that'll do is that's going to throw that flake forward. And now I have another platform. You see that? Let's see if I can get that off there without touching it. You see that line right there? So I'm going to apply the force perpendicular to that line. And it's just like a little rounded, they're not big clearing flakes. All I'm trying to do, you see that zigzag that's starting to form on there? I'll show you. It'll show up better here in a second. Let me just, because I'm doing the same thing over and over. So All right. Get that off there. This is what a zigzag edge should look like. Do you see that? The way that was a square edge, and now we've got all these little individual platforms that are going towards one face or the other. Limestone, Mount St. Helens obsidian, that'd be cool, Kenosha. Limestone it won't nap, but most of the chert that we have come out, in formation actually comes from limestone. So like my local area where I live, Reed Springs Reed Springs and Burlington are the two main what you call the bridge. I'm not sure I'm following you, Tim, but you followed me. Thank you. But no, I'm not. The bridge, as far as kind of elaborate on that, if you would. Byron, welcome in. But see, what we'll do with this is once we've got, trying to watch for Tim's comment, I want to make sure that I'm not, well, these little zigs are just the low spots from where each of those flakes, that's just a negative scar there, and then I went this way, and all those sawtooth, I'm using antler and this is a sandstone abrader, but I just use antler, stone and bone tools, Ramsey, that's all I nap with. Awesome. Yeah, that was a nice Cache River that you found, Bubba. I saw that. That was a nice piece. Yeah, limestone, sandstone. Now I don't know about garnet. I think garnet is like a gemstone, but I know that limestone and sandstone won't nap. Yeah, that was a smoker. Yeah, Tim, we did in fact, I was telling somebody else, well, crystal, like quartz crystal is nappable. Now, I can't tell you about the others like amethyst or that, Bill, but I know that actual quartz crystal is nappable. But Tim, if you check out my profile up here, I made a Clovis out of some TV screen on a live. I've got a couple of posts of it. Well, now quartz will actually work. Abandoned Adventures. It's a challenging material, but it'll work into a point. You might have quartzite. Well, and amethyst, if it's a type of quartz, it might. I can't tell you for sure. And guys, I've told you before, if I don't know, I won't tell you. I'll say, well, I don't know, and I got to look it up. But anytime I tell you something that I've read, or I'm not going to try to fill you full of, crap. And I don't want anybody going out and doing something based off what I've said and it not be true. So that one I don't know about, but I know that quartz, because I've got a friend of mine that used to work in a quartz mine here in Arkansas, and he made just a beautiful point out of quartz. All right, now see how we're using that. Oh, well, Tim, you're in a good spot over northeast Arkansas. You got Crowley's Ridge. That's some good material over there. I mean, some of that alluvial stuff, I've worked some of that. I really like it. It comes from everywhere, but I'm in northwest Arkansas, so I'm over just north of Rogers, if you know where Rogers, Arkansas is. Now, you see how we're working that tip back this way, and we've got this area of mass. So now I'm gonna put a little bit more force, and I'm gonna push in and try to get one to go over the top of this kind of, we've got a little bit of chattery, junky stuff here. And that almost went too far. That flake went all the way to over here. It went from here to here. You can see how much of that material that removed. And then we use that ridge as the next one. Now you can see how that mass is going down, and we've got, now it's in the center of the piece. Now I'm not grinding that, I'm just putting dust on there to make sure that I get a really good bite. It's almost like chalking a pool cue. Well, that one stopped a little earlier than I wanted to. No, it didn't. You can see that flake pattern. Oh yeah, they know what they want to be. Now I'm just using those low spots, the deltas or the little zigs. And we've got a low spot right here, so I need to take, you see this, we still got that. I don't care for the square notch pads, Rick. I think that they, well, and you guys can make, it's probably a personal deal. Let me see, did you pin, Brizzo, you pinned and then unpinned, and hell, I didn't even see it. But no, Rick, I don't care for, yeah, I'm sure that if you've been over in that area moving dirt, you have found some really cool stuff over the years. But, oh, what was I going to say now? Shoot, I don't know. But we're going to try to take this, we've been kind of dancing around this, so I'm going to lose a little bit of this length right here, because you can see how it's dipped down and we've got this weight here. Again, Chris, you're leaving me out. Oh, well, thank you, Brizzo. I appreciate it. I wasn't trying to, I just didn't see what you had pinned there, and I didn't want to miss a comment. Chris comes in here and tells everybody else good morning, So like I told you guys, there's a reason, that I got a great face for radio here. So all I'm doing here is just kind of turn that edge back, getting some dust on there, and you can see, you see that area right here, whoop, up on top, right here, this lump, this mass right here. I'm going to start at the tip, and I'm going to try to blend this area into this low spot, and then we'll start getting this side like this one is, where it's flaked all the way over. So we're going to start up here at the tip. No, but I started off to tell you about the square notch pads. The reason I don't like those is because, just as an example, if I fold this up and I get it, you see how far that is off my hand. That's a little bit extreme, but I've seen some of those square pads, they're like an inch thick. And when you get out here farther off of your hand or away from it, I think you lose a lot of leverage. I like this is right on that palm, that right in that little, there's like a little depression or a dip in there. And when I'm trapping the flakes like this, I don't mind the leather making contact with it, but once I start trying to run flakes over, you think yours is around 3/4? Yeah, that's about, what they are. And I think that it kind of actually takes your hand, you lose some leverage from it. So, but yeah, Kenosha, this is the first flake off here. So we're probably going to be able to make quite a bit of stuff if it all works. Of course, you know, we're not done with this one yet, so don't need to count my points before they're done. But I don't know if you see how there's a gap between my hand right there, and I'm supporting it on this back edge. So when I'm pulling those flakes off, they're actually coming off into a, I'm trying to, there you can see a little bit of it. You see that void there in between, and I'm holding this piece at the back edge, pushing in, and then a downward motion till it releases a flake. See, that one went all the way across over to here. You can see how beautiful that series of flakes was right there. And on that side, you can see how much that tapered into that low spot. So now we're going to go to the other side. I'm actually just about between that, Roger, or Rogers, Tim. I'm about halfway between on Highway 62 between Rogers and Eureka Springs. Eureka's a little bit farther away than Rogers is for me, but I actually live out in the Garfield area, Garfield P Ridge. Not too far from, Justin, thank you for pinning that. If you're familiar with the P Ridge Military Park, I'm not too terribly far from that area. All right, now we got most of that out. You can see there's just a little of that dip left in the tip. A town named after the best cat ever. I may have missed that one. I'm not up on the cat names there. Cat names there. Oh, there it went. But oh, okay, got you, Garfield. Now I'm following you. A little slow on the uptake this morning. Sorry. I was thinking. Yeah, I was lost because we hadn't mentioned I hadn't seen where Garfield was mentioned. I was thinking Rogers, Eureka Springs. Yeah, I'm not following that, but absolutely Garfield. Yeah, Brizzo, I was a little slow on that one too. I was like, Rogers. I don't know any cats named Rogers or Eureka Springs, and definitely not P Ridge. All right, let's see if we can. I do, Ramsey. There's a link right up here on my profile. I think it's the first thing linked on there is a link to my Etsy shop. If you'd like to go check that out. That's not the main reason I do this, but it is kind of a side, side benefit to napping as much as I do. Now we're starting getting the groove. Right on, Tim. Yeah, I'll soon have some obsidian points, huh, Kenosha? But yeah, Tim, if you like this and you want to watch the rest of the deal, here in a few days, well, as soon as I get off here, I'll upload it and get it started to go into YouTube. But before long, we should have everything available on YouTube. So if you miss a live or if you have to leave and I'm working on something that you want to see, all of that content will be available. I'll give you guys, this is another thing, and I do it without even thinking about it anymore, but whenever I'm brushing that edge or grinding on an edge and that dust that's coming off there, you're welcome, Tim, you're welcome. I usually exhale or blow out and blow that away from me. You don't want to just be inhaling the dust off of there, especially if you're in an area that doesn't have as good ventilation as it should have. I don't suggest that people do this. You know, it's all your personal beliefs and everything. Now I'm basically indoors where I nap, but only through the rougher part of the year and only for these lives. Now I'll be out on where my front porch is. That's now that the weather's nice, I nap outside, but I'm hoping to get my setup to where I can start doing the lives from out there. Yep, that's what I do. Just a nice slow, like you're trying to blow on a flame, just a nice, steady blow away from you. And just, kind of pushes that dust and those small little shards away from you. All right. This is starting to look really good, guys. This side is still flat. We've got that's what I say. You get used to what, I knew that I was going to lose a lot of material on this because we still got this little bowl right here, and you can see how thin that is. So now I have to bring in from here and kind of get everything even up. Yeah, I don't think it can be much worse than a menthol cigarette. Yeah, I imagine the glass is a little bit harsher, but I bet, well, menthol, I know that it's got like the cool feeling. It's whatever the, I start talking about this, and now you guys got me coughing here. All right, let's see if we can get this flattened out a little bit. See that series, they're going right across the middle. There we go. Now there's that series. You can see we still got that little dip right there. So what we're going to do is we got to start building convexity into this flat little bold spot right here. You can see how it's thinner and it's got that little dip right there. So what we're going to start doing is building convexity into it. Just nice, easy little. These are just tiny little flakes that I'm just kind of pecking that edge back. Because if we try to drive a flake into that concavity, you guys know what happens. So we're going to take a series. Where did I do with my? There it is. Got a little bit of a hump back here. And now I'm just gonna, these are just almost straight down flakes, because I'm not trying to run flakes all the way in. I'm trying to, oh, I know, this is definitely not a place you want to fall down right here in front of me, for sure. But see, I'm not taking aggressive flakes. What I'm doing right here is trying to build a rounded convexity. See how those flakes are starting to travel over into that, and they're getting a little bit rounded off? That's the goal of this, is we're just trying to get it to where we can get some of that curve or that convexity, so that our flakes will travel a little farther. And you can see now we've got this little bit of a, see that little beveled edge on this back side? You can see the flakes that came off there. They're not really big, but see how they kind of curve into that now instead of it being a bowl? So then, you go back, kind of brush that edge down. Now I'm not grinding it, I'm at an angle, and I'm just putting dust on there. Every once in a while, now you can see those tiny little, this shows the flakes. You see those tiny little light spots, the shiny spots. When I'm brushing that, those are the type of flakes. See, that one just jumped off there and just stuck in my finger, just from brushing that. That's how sharp this stuff is. Now when I go back this way, you can't see them. They're really super fine, but you'll be able to see. Okay, see all those little shiny spots where they're little flakes that came off there. And all those are is just, those were spots where the edge was too sharp, and it would not have taken the force of my pressure flaker to put up against there. And it would have broken early, and it would have caused me problems. You know, you don't ever want it to break. You want one snap. You know, that fracture should be one flake and not a whole bunch of, you know, crunchy sound. If you're crunching it, then your edges you're going to have like collapsing platforms, and your flakes won't do what you want them to do. All right, so we're going to work down this area, this one, and you can see how we've got an area of mass underneath. We're going to work towards the middle and flatten that out. And you can see the shiny on there where those flakes came off. That one went almost halfway. We're not trying to drive them all the way across. I'm just trying to take that little hump out and get them to meet up in the middle. All right, you can see that series there. And now see how we're starting to get that convexity on this side? Yeah, it definitely does not have, it is more, it will break a lot easier, but you don't have to apply as much force to cut with it either, you know? That's the trade-off on it. Whereas a tougher stone, you might be able to put a little bit more force on it without it breaking, but it's not going to be as sharp, so. That's absolutely right, Kenosha. Now see this, now we've taken a series of flakes off this side. Now we're going to come back to this side that we're trying to build the convexity on. I'm going to brush that edge back just like I did that first one. You're just trying to take off those little loose flakes. They're going to come off too easy. Now I did that with a finer stone first to get just the edges of it. Now I'm going to take a little bit more coarse. Right on, Kenosha. Now since I've got a little bit of convexity on this side, I'm pushing in a little bit and trying to get those to match up and take this little kind of a humped area off this side. See, that was a nice series there. Yeah, you were telling me you can't collect from that area, unfortunately, huh? Okay, I'm going to take a little bit smaller flaker because this is going to be a little bit more. I'm trying not to put too much force on this because there is still a little bit of a bend and a little bit of a thin spot. So all I'm trying to do here is just get these to kind of taper into that and take that out. And that flake went all the way across the other side. You see how building that, well, not all the other side, but to where those other flakes matched up. And that's all about that convexity. See, that one went all the way over to here. Now right here is where the thinnest spot is. You don't want to get too greedy and try to push too far in because it still doesn't have enough convexity here to get the flakes to travel. So we'll try to isolate it as much as possible. Okay, so far so good. We're gonna yeah, absolutely, Clayton. Well, I mean, you know, you think about it. You have to do something to live. You know, I mean, trial and error over thousands of years. Now we've just got, you can see just a little bit of that depression left right there in the center. And otherwise, you see how straight our piece is now. We've got just a little bit of a dip right here on the tip of it. And I will take care of that on probably the next pass here. Ramsey, I've been napping for 30 years, but I'd say probably within the last, I don't know, 8 or 9 years, I really have spent a lot of time trying to get better. You know, and not just, I mean, I practice stuff too. You know, it's not just flint napping all the time, and that's what I was saying earlier about, you know, when you're doing this, there's no such thing as a failure as long as you're attempting to learn from it. Try to get some of those flakes off of me. With practice time, you know, within I don't know, a few months, you can get a grasp of the concept and really get comfortable with it. Some people sooner than that, but you know, within a few months of actual practice, you can get to where I've seen guys, well, if Justin's still in here, Justin's been napping just over a year now, and he makes really nice stuff. You know, it's all a matter of how much time you spend working on the craft. You know, it's just like anything else. The more you do it, the better you'll get at it. I use the, like playing guitar. If you're, you know, a musician, or if you've ever tried to learn to play guitar, you know that if you just sit down once a month for 15 minutes, oh, you're very welcome, Justin. That's the truth, man. I'm kind of jealous, to tell you the truth. I mean, you're making stuff that it took me years and years to get to, you know. So I met a guy last year, a year before, at a nap-in. He sat down and napped with me, and he showed me this point that he made, and I said, wow. I said, that's nice. How long have you been napping? He said, since May. Well, this is in July. So, you know, we're like 2.5 months in. And I just looked at him and I told him he could kiss my butt. I said, there's no way you should be making stuff like that quick. But, you know, there's so many resources out there now, guys, that you know, YouTube videos and stuff like this live where you can talk, and that is true. The more you try, the more you fail, the more you learn. Yeah, this is getting ready to get nice right here. So that flake actually went from this edge and followed that convexity and went all the way across that piece to here. And you guys can see I'm not, you know, grunting and shoving on this thing. And see, that one almost went too far also. Once you get that convexity, especially with this type of material, you have to be careful. You'll actually send the flakes too far. See, every one of these is going almost halfway or a little bit more. That's a nice set right there. Now you can see we're starting to get a really nice convexity. Absolutely, Damien. I mean, you got to spend time doing it. That's how you learn to do it. Now this next series on this side should meet up here, and then our next going back, we should be able to clear out that spot in the middle right there from that old scar. I would tell you though, guys, if you're working this kind of material, the main thing that I would suggest is don't try to be too aggressive with it. This obsidian does not want to be overpowered. Well, just depends, Bill, if you know what you're going for. If you're going for like a faceted, like a cabochon, like something rounded but flaked, really it's not any different. I mean, it's the same concept as far as the flaking and all that stuff. I'm not doing anything different. The only difference would be, like say for a particular point style, like what I'm going to try to do here, you've got flaking, that's specific to a point style or a particular culture. A lot of times you got material, you got, there's just numerous different things that go into why a point style is the way it is. So for me to try to do these as close as I can, oh, absolutely, Ramsey. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing, we were doing Folsoms and Clovises here this is one of the ones off of some of that Texas rock. And this flute went a little short on this side, but completely different skill set, and you're going to fail a lot of them. I mean, you're going to break, like Folsoms, they suggest, or archaeological papers guess somewhere around 40 to 60% of failure rate. So right on, Kenosha. I'm going to work on this one some more. We're about to the end of the live this morning, and I'll put it down and work on it a little bit more tomorrow. Maybe I might finish this one out, and we'll do another flake point tomorrow. So thank you very much. This is working out really nice. I hadn't spalled and worked any obsidian in a long time, and it's really easy on my joints. It doesn't take near as much force to remove those flakes, and it's actually been kind of a joy, other than the fact that I'm worried about cutting myself just about every flake. Keep me on my toes anyway. That series went fairly well towards the center. I've got a little bit of some stuff right here that I'll have to get. I was trying not to push too hard on those. I didn't want them going all the way across and taking out the margin on the other side, because I want to get this spot out, and then I can start doing my final. Absolutely, Ramsey and Damien. I appreciate you guys hanging out and watching and commenting and asking questions. It helps make it more interesting for me. I nap every day. I'm out here doing this. Well, I'll be on the front porch, but I nap every day at some point, so I might as well be able to talk and share with you guys if you want to watch and got questions or whatever. So by all means, anytime you've got a question, you don't understand what I'm doing or what I'm talking about, ask it. Let's see if we can get this last little bit out of the center here. And then we'll set this aside for tomorrow. Now I'm going to grab that little bit smaller tipped flaker because I'm not wanting to make as big a contact area. Now that one went right over underneath that spot. See, once you get that convexity built into the point, those flakes will travel. All right, that was that series down this side. And now I'm going to come into this side. I've got one little bitty piece of that left. So we're going to come in here from the tip and just work our way back to that. Boy, this is working so nice. That's where zigzag for the win. Oh, did you you were giving it a shot, Rick? With that zigzag, did that help? Kind of clean up the edges of this, and then would you guys rather watch me finish this tomorrow on live, or do you want me to work a different piece tomorrow? For those of you that are still in here that have hung around, I'll let you decide, because I'm past the deal. I've got a dog to give a bath to. This is spa day for my puppy. She gets a bath and probably a little nap with Dad later. Finish this one tomorrow? Right on. That's what I'll do. Let me get it kind of cleaned up here, and then we're going to shut this down. But yeah, Damien, it'll all be on YouTube here. It'll probably be a few days before this makes it there. There's a little bit of a lag trying to get them loaded up, so it takes quite a while. All right, now we started off earlier. You notice we had that bend in it. Sorry, I can't talk and exhale at the same time. Absolutely, Damien, no worries. And like I said, if you guys have got questions, feel free to ask. I'm not hiding anything, and there's no secret sauce or information or anything like that. It's just time spent doing it is all it is. So little spot over here I'm gonna pick off here, and then we'll all right, well, that's where we're at for right now, and I will hold off until tomorrow. No, on this one, Rick, it's gonna be a little bit bigger than the point style or the size. This is the first one I've ever made. I was trying, when I found out where this material was from, I started doing some research, and I may end up looking for a different size or a different style, but we're going for like a Columbia Plateau, something like that. But this is actually too big for this, so I may end up working this into something else because I'm going to lose a lot of material. I don't really need to. This may end up being something more like a side notch. But we are going to make some of these Columbia Plateaus. These are actual size. So some of these smaller flakes, I should be able to make, a bunch of these little small Columbia Plateau points. That's what I'm working on anyway. That's what I tell you guys. Whenever I get gifted rock from an area, I try to do some research, on the point styles that came from that area and that material, and then I try to make those as close as I can to what the originals look like. So this is where we're at. You can see it's gotten really thin. There's one little spot. Where'd it go? Right in here it's kind of chippy, but overall it's pretty straight. It's a little bit of bend up here, but again, more of that'll come out. It's just taking the edges in and getting that convexity. So I'll set this aside and we will work on it some more tomorrow. That was literally the first flake I took off of that piece. And it was sitting in there about like that. So we will take off some more off that, and I'm hoping that I can work that down and then use what's left of it as a bigger biface, and we'll make something out of it. But we're going to hold off right there, and I'll be back on here in the morning at 8 o'clock, and we will work on it some more. Guys, I appreciate you hanging out with me this morning. Take care of yourselves and those around you, and I'll see you in the morning. Till then, keep chipping.